attention, that makes decisions in the world, and is not that to the audience, sorry, that to audience that makes decision in the world, and is not used to listening to us. Very quickly, the connection will become clear between women's full economic citizenship and the need to fully address the reality and hardship of their situation in terms of violence, poverty, legal inequality, lack of education and health services, and lack of control over resources and discrimination. If leaders are consumed with the focus on growing and stabilizing the economy, and they know women's impact on that, they need to equally know that they cannot do that without stopping violence, without increasing schools, and ensuring women's participation in decision-making. You will not get women-driven GDP growth for free. You cannot have one without the other. I'm aware that a lot of what I'm saying is not necessarily new, by no means new, actually. What is new is the crisis and the moment of change that we are in now. What is new is an opportunity to roar as a single voice, which, while weaving the threads of our stories and our focuses on different aspects of women's challenges together. What is new is the connection between those of us who are focused on health or violence or women representation in the media or the corporate boardrooms or politics. What may be new is weaving women's full economic contribution directly to their health access and education needs and political representation. And as my Congolese colleague taught me, one woman can change anything, but many women can change everything. This is the time for us to change everything. I do not want to be called the generation that had missed the opportunity. If our predecessors took advantage of opportunities and installed laws and legal protections for women in so many different ways, we have now an opportunity for change. And I do not want to be known as the generation who stepped on the side, bittered that we are not included in the reshaping of the world today. We are not included in the discussion of the economic restructuring of the world today. I do not want to be known as the generation who were fighting about which cause is more important. Is it maternal mortality, or is it domestic violence, or is it rape and against women in war? I want to be the generation that is known for working with each other, that is known for to have talked to new audience in new language, that is known for to have recruited men and women who have not heard us yet, to recruit them in the fight, to know that they cannot have, that we cannot have a stable world, economically and politically, without the full inclusion of women at the decision-making table in every sector. I want to be the generation who is not only known for the inclusion of women in microfinance, and by God, I implement microfinance for women. But that's too limited for where we are and what we can do and what we are doing in this world and contributing to this world. I have nothing but my limited experience. But my limited experience gives me hope. 17 years ago, I started Women for Women International from nada, nishta, ghiyan, wala ishi. I read Gloria Steinem and Alice Walker and Betty Friedan, and I read all of them, and I was inspired by it. I studied them. I believed so much in them. But when it came time for action, I had nothing. I had been an immigrant. I was a raped, abused, divorced young woman from Iraq whose family was back home, and I was alone in this country with $400 in my pocket. But if I, a young immigrant woman at the age of 23, can start an organization and ends up helping 250,000 women and impacting about 1 million child, distributing about $80 million, working in 10 countries, having 600 staff. And this country is not even, I came as an immigrant to this country. If I could do that, we could do, my gosh, we could do so much more. We could do so much more, and this is the time. When I'm talking with you, it stems mostly from my experience of Women for Women. But I don't think today is a day about Women for Women as an organization. I think today is a day about women for women globally. A world movement, a new global movement. Not new, but a rejuvenated global movement that connect us to each other, that weaves our stories together. I learned the reason I'm putting this economic argument first, because in the most conservative communities that I've worked in, from Iraq to Afghanistan, and actually, ironically, Kosovo is the most conservative community that we worked in. Whenever we talk to the pastor, to the chief, to the imam about women's economic growth and helping address them economic stability, no one resisted us. And then we did whatever we wanted to do with women's rights. But we were able to get imams writing us fatwa to tell us that women's rights and women's access to economy and education is not only permitted in Islam, it is encouraged. We were able to get military commanders to stop raping only because we talked about the economic growth or the importance to address women's economic stability. And they were like, okay, we get you. And let us do what we do. So if we could do that, so can we, the whole world. If Women for Women can do that on a micro level, so can we all. So can we all, in terms of making a new, rejuvenated sense of a global women's movement. This is not about who is good and who is right, and about women or men. This is about a new discussion, a partnership between women and men for more stability for the world. And in honor of that, allow me to quote my favorite man. Rumi is a 13th century Sufi poet. And one of my favorite poems by him, he says, out beyond the worlds of right doings and wrongdoings, there is a field. I shall meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other no longer makes any sense. Let us today meet in the field. At Women for Women International, we ask women from all over the world to sponsor each other with $27 a month and a letter where they can exchange with each other as the recipient goes through an intensive training program in women's rights and economic growth. But I think it is more than that. I think we should, now it is the time where we can all meet in the field, where we can be known as not the generation who have seen the train pass us and the train is halfway out, but it is the generation who have captured that opportunity and picked on the train and moved it in the right direction.